Imagine being trapped on a cage of iron, spikes pressing into your flesh with every movement. Pain so precise, fear so overwhelming, that even the bravest knights whispered its name. This was the iron spider, a medieval torture device designed not just to punish the body but to haunt the mind. Tonight we dive into its dark history and the chilling stories of those who survived its grip. In medieval Europe, fear was as powerful a weapon as swords or armies. Lords ruled not only through law but through terror, and among the cruelest tools of punishment, one device stood apart: the iron spider. It was a frame of heavy iron, jagged, spikes jutting inward like the legs of a monstrous arachnid. Its purpose was simple yet horrifying: slowly impale the body, tear muscles, and crush the spirit. Victims were secured, arms and legs stretched wide, leaving them vulnerable to each spike. The device was primarily used to extract confessions. Thieves, rebels, and anyone accused of heresy could find themselves facing it. Secret chambers beneath castles, where torches flickered and stone walls echoed with cries, were the iron spider's home. Some legends said its spikes were rusted or poisoned, making every puncture deadly. Survivors spoke of the nightmares that haunted them for years, dreams of spikes erupting from floors, walls, and even the night sky. What made the iron spider terrifying was not just the physical pain, but the psychological torment. Each adjustment of the frame, each rotation of the bolts was calculated. Pain was drawn out, precisely measured to break the mind while preserving life long enough to terrify witnesses. Its mere presence in a castle chamber could bend townspeople to obedience. Stories spread faster than armies. Villages whispered about the device in fear, teaching children to obey authority without question. Ironically, the device required skill. The executioner had to understand anatomy, tension, and thresholds of human endurance. It was cruelty refined into craft. By design, the iron spider did more than injure. It left a mark on memory, a terror that survived long after physical wounds healed. In history, it became a symbol of power wielded without mercy, a stark reminder of how fear can be engineered and controlled. Even centuries later, tales of the iron spider persist, not as an object to behold but as a story of human ingenuity turned toward cruelty. It teaches that terror can be crafted as meticulously as any weapon, leaving scars that live on in both body and mind. The iron spider waited silently in the shadows, patient, precise, and merciless, ready to claim its next victim. The castle of Lord Reinhardt was infamous across the region, its stone walls rising like a warning to the villages below. On a cold night, young Matthias, a starving thief, was dragged through its echoing corridors. He had stolen bread to feed his family. For this crime, he would face the iron spider. The dungeon doors creaked open and the flickering torchlight revealed the device at the center of the chamber, spikes glinting like steel fangs. Matthias's heart pounded in terror. The executioner Gunter moved with the precision of a surgeon. He strapped Matthias to the iron frame, limbs stretched wide, spikes poised to pierce at calculated angles. There was no rush. Every motion was deliberate. The first turn of the wrench sent piercing pain through his shoulders and arms. Agony spread through every nerve. Matthias screamed, but the thick stone wall swallowed the sound. Hours passed with a cruel rhythm. Gunter rotated the frame slowly, spikes pressing into flesh, tearing muscles, and joints beyond normal limits. The device was designed to maximize pain without immediate death. Each second stretched longer than the last, and fear became as sharp as the spikes themselves. Matthias's mind struggled to cling to hope. Thoughts of his family, the stolen bread, and survival flickered amid the torment. The iron spider worked not just on the body but on the mind. It was psychological warfare. Every subtle twitch, every gasp of pain was observed, measured, and manipulated. The executioner studied his reactions, adjusting the frame to ensure maximum terror. The chamber was silent except for the creaking of iron and the ragged sounds of a young man fighting to survive. By the night's end, Matthias was broken in body, yet a fragment of his spirit remained. He had survived, But the memory of the iron spider's spikes, the calculated rotations, and the relentless pain would haunt him forever. Outside the dungeon, villagers whispered of the screams that rose like ghosts, teaching obedience through fear. The iron spider was more than a tool. It was a symbol of absolute authority, a weapon of psychological dominance. Even today, the story of Matthias and the iron spider reminds us that cruelty can be engineered. Pain was deliberate, terror was precise, and survival depended not only on strength but on enduring the unimaginable. It was a lesson in fear that lasted far longer than the physical wounds. Gunther, the executioner, was feared almost as much as the iron spider itself. Unlike ordinary torturers, he treated pain as a craft. Every tool in his chamber had a purpose, but the iron spider demanded precision. It was a device of both mechanical and psychological design, requiring skill to break the body without immediate death. When Matthias was strapped in, Gunther studied his reactions carefully. The device's spikes were angled to pierce muscles and joints but not to kill instantly. Each rotation of the iron frame was deliberate, each adjustment calculated to prolong agony. The first twist brought screams, the second waves of unbearable pain. Gunther observed how fear spread across Matthias's face, how his mind raced, searching for escape. The iron spider worked equally on flesh and psyche. Pain was an art, and Gunther was its master. He understood the human body intimately, how muscles tore, how ligaments strained, how nerves fired under pressure. He knew exactly how far he could push without ending a life, maximizing terror while keeping the victim conscious. Matthias's gasps and cries were measured responses, and Gunther used them to adjust the device. The torture was methodical, relentless, yet carefully orchestrated. The chamber became a theater of fear. Shadows flickered along stone walls, spikes glinting in torchlight as Gunther rotated the frame. Every sound, metal against metal, ragged breaths, muffled cries, added to the psychological strain. Matthias's mind began to blur between reality and nightmare. The pain was intense, but the anticipation of more, the knowledge that every turn of the wrench would inflict further agony, was even more excruciating. By the night's end, Matthias was a broken man physically, yet fragments of his spirit clung to life. The iron spider had done its work, to terrify, to punish, and to leave a memory that would never fade. Gunther stepped back, his role complete. The device had claimed its lesson in obedience and fear. The iron spider's design, and the executioner's skill, made it one of history's most terrifying instruments. It was not random cruelty. It was deliberate, calculated, and efficient. Pain was measured, terror engineered, and survival depended on enduring the unimaginable. Even today, the story reminds us that human ingenuity can be twisted into a tool of pure horror, leaving scars that linger far longer than the body's wounds. The iron spider's terror extended far beyond the walls of Reinhardt's castle. Villagers whispered about screams that pierced the night, about shadows moving in empty corridors, and about a metallic spider waiting silently in the dark. Fear itself became a tool of control, a weapon as powerful as any sword or army. Matthias's ordeal became part of this legend. Though he survived, his body was scarred, and his mind carried memories that refused to fade. He could never forget the spikes pressing into his flesh, the slow rotation of the iron frame, or the cold, merciless precision of the executioner. Every creaking door, every shadowed hallway, reignited the terror in his mind. Survivors often reported nightmares where spikes rose from walls, floors, and ceilings, impaling them again and again. The story of the iron spider spread quickly. Villagers told their children of the metal frame and its jagged spikes, teaching obedience through fear. It was not just punishment. It was psychological warfare. Entire towns learned that authority could strike without warning, and that disobedience could have consequences beyond imagination. Even centuries later, the ruins of castles where the iron spider once stood carry an eerie presence. Visitors report shivers running down their spines, a feeling of being watched by something unseen. The device may be gone, but its story lingers, The iron spider symbolizes the extremes of cruelty, the way human ingenuity can turn toward terrifying purposes. The device was more than metal and spikes. It was carefully engineered terror, designed to leave lasting scars on both body and mind. It taught lessons in fear that outlasted physical punishment. Villagers obeyed not out of respect, but because the legend of the iron spider proved that no one was safe from its reach. Through Matthias and countless unnamed victims, the iron spider became a symbol of resilience as well. Those who survived carried the story forward, a reminder that human endurance can outlast even the most calculated horrors. Pain may wound the body, but fear can leave marks that endure for generations. The iron spider stands in history not only as a tool of cruelty but as a warning, a reminder that terror can be constructed, measured, and imposed with precision, long after the metal has rusted and the castle stones crumble. Visuals: misty castle ruins, shadows moving along corridors, faint glint of spikes in the dark. Over time, the iron spider fell into history. Castles crumbled, executioners vanished, and justice evolved. Yet its legend endured, carried in whispers, books, and nightmares. The device had left its mark, not only on the bodies it pierced, but on the minds of those who witnessed or survived it. It became a symbol of human cruelty and resilience, a reminder that fear can be as sharp and lasting as any blade. The survivors of the iron spider, like Matthias, bore scars visible and invisible. Their bodies healed, but the memory of spikes pressing into flesh, of cold iron tightening with precision, never left. Nightmares haunted them for years. The device's design, pain measured, terror engineered, was a masterclass in calculated cruelty. Each rotation of the frame, each carefully placed spike was a lesson in obedience, terror, and human endurance. Even today, the iron spider lives in stories. Museums display fragments of medieval torture devices, but nothing fully captures its horror. Its story is preserved in legend, a warning of what humans are capable of when ingenuity is turned toward suffering. It demonstrates that terror is not random. It can be designed, precise, and relentless. Pain alone does not define the iron spider. It is the fear it instilled, the memory it engraved into minds, and the way it shaped entire communities. The iron spider also serves as a story of survival. Those who endured it carried forward the lesson that endurance is possible even in unimaginable conditions. It reminds us that resilience can outlast cruelty, and that the human spirit can survive horrors meant to break it. Ultimately, the iron spider's legacy is both a warning and a tale of endurance. It teaches us that cruelty can be engineered, that fear can be weaponized, and that survival depends not only on physical strength but on the mind's capacity to endure. Though centuries have passed, the story remains, a chilling echo from history, whispering through stone corridors, ruins, and pages of history books. For those who hear its story today, the iron spider is more than a medieval torture device. It is a reminder that terror, precision, and human cruelty can leave marks that endure far longer than the metal that caused them. Its tale is a shadow from the past, haunting, instructive, and unforgettable. Visuals: museum artifacts, iron spikes, fading into darkness, flickering torchlight, final fade to black with haunting echoes. The iron spider may have vanished from history, but its legend remains, a chilling reminder of human cruelty, precision, and fear. Those who survived its spikes carried scars that lasted a lifetime, both on their bodies and in their minds. Its story endures not just as a medieval torture device, but as a warning. Terror can be engineered, and survival is a testament to human resilience. If this tale sent shivers down your spine, subscribe and hit the bell to uncover more dark stories from history